Good morning, everyone. This is Professor Hill for Ethics 2306, and we're talking about our book, Doing Ethics by Lewis Vaughn. Hopefully by now we've got the book. We've been reading chapter 1. We've been looking at, for example, the definition of ethics, which is the philosophical study of morality, and morality, our beliefs about good and bad, right and wrong. Now, I've posted at the Canvas website a lot of support documents, websites you can go to find support for the textbook, and also the discussions. And I wanted to just say a word or two about the second discussion. The first one's about Jenny Lake, and all the materials are there. It's a difficult, tragic story. But that was one that garnered national attention. The second one, about John the paramedic, that's a story out of one of my classes. And I wanted to just describe to you the class reaction when this occurred. A couple of years ago, I was teaching an ethics course. I had a student, John, and he told that story in class about responding out to the scene, finding the man down, the woman standing over him, very agitated with a steak knife in her hand, and just, frantic, shouting out over and over, I stabbed him. Well, John calms her down, starts to work on the gentleman who's been stabbed, and she explains that whole story to him about how she had been upset that her daughter, young daughter, had approached her, come out to her that she was a homosexual. They got into a big fight about this. And when the man she was living with came home, again, just to be clear, she's living in this house with her daughter from a previous relationship and the guy who's been stabbed. When he comes in, he starts yelling at her. Now they're all yelling. It's a mess. And then he starts to attack her, the daughter. And the mother kind of switches sides, tries to calm him down, try to get him off of her, but she can't control him. And in this kind of heated, screaming, terrible, chaotic moment, he's attempting to rape the young girl. For a lot of people, that's not what they expected to happen next in this story. But it's a phenomenon that's so common, it actually has a name, corrective rape. This is the, some man finds out a woman is a lesbian and he thinks to himself, I can somehow fix you. I can make this all better once you have this wonderful experience with me. Well, I got to tell you, that kind of bizarre, sick, psychological attitude, it happens. It is one of the factors behind what are called corrective rapes. Now, that all being said, the mother at this point is frantic. She goes in the kitchen, she gets a knife, she comes back, and she stabs him multiple times. He staggers out of the house, collapses on the sidewalk, and that's where John finds him and works on him. And now I have to tell you, when he was telling this story in class, you could have heard a pin drop. Because he then, as the story outlined there on the Canvas page, he called in to the dispatcher and said, you need to send another ambulance because I'm not going to treat this guy. And they're like, oh, wait, what? They're like, you have to treat him. And he's like, no, I don't. You better send another ambulance or else no one's going to treat this guy. So the dispatcher got the boss on the phone. The boss is trying to talk John through it and saying, look, you really have got to treat this person. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So they send another ambulance. But by the time a second ambulance gets there and the police and a fire truck and a bunch of the cops, everybody show up, the guy's died. Now, when he told this story in class, there was this kind of stunned silence. And the first question was from another student, could you have saved that man's life? And he says, oh, yeah, I could have. And then the next response is a student who says, "You ought to be in jail." And some other student responds, "Hell no, you should get a medal." So instantly this class split. John thinks he did the right thing. He thinks he was standing up for principle and that guy got what he deserved. Now, there are a lot of factors at play in a situation like this. The one we're focused on is the element of applied ethics, that he had a certain set of obligations as a paramedic. In that role as a medical professional responding to that scene, he had an obligation, a duty to treat that person, and he didn't. Now he says that morally he's justified in setting aside those things. They were calling him to do something which was immoral. Boy, I have to tell you, it was a tough sell. There are some people that agreed with him because there's no doubt the bad guy was a bad guy. The guy that ends up dying was a bad guy. But what's the impact of that on John's obligation to treat him? And do we want medical professionals at the end of a 911 call making those type of moral judgments about every person that they start to treat? I think the answer to that is no, but I do want to hear what you've got to say about this. It's a case involving medical ethics, applied ethics. It's a controversial case in that some students defend John and the decision he made. I don't see it. I don't see how it's defensible at all. But let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you. As always, best wishes. Take care.